Hello everyone, back to the 2024 Goodwood Festival of Speed. It's our final episode in this sprawling series, taking a look at every aspect of this incredible automotive event. And I ended with Formula 1 cars on the last one, and you think those are the best. They're the pinnacle of motorsport, but in my opinion, as great as F1 cars are, and as wonderful sounding as they are, we're missing one important element that's been in the background this whole time. And that, of course, is rallying. My personal favorite motorsport in the world. Now, there's several different types of rallying, so we're first going to look at Rally Raid, sort of the off-road endurance rallying. So you got things like an MG Metro-ish off-road racer. It's not really a Metro, but it looks like one, has the body of one, on a much beefier chassis. We got things like this crazy 4Cat, which has gull-wing doors on a Rally Raid racer, which is kind of awesome. Not sure how practical it is in an emergency situation, but it's cool. And your more traditional Rally Raid vehicles. There were a few Land Rovers. There was the Colin McRae Enduro Evo. Land Rover had a huge presence. I know this is a bowler, but it's basically a Land Rover Defender. The level of detail and technique in these cars, and really threading it through the rock courses and the jumps, is truly inspiring and a very different aspect of rallying that you often overlook, because these are even less popular than the traditional WRC stages. We just had the Dakar Rally earlier this year, and these vehicles barely even get mentioned in the world. It's a shame, because we had the previous year's winner, the Toyota GR Hilux, or this year's winner, the first all-electric car to ever win the Dakar Rally, the Audi RSQ e-tron, driven by Carlos Sainz, who will also be driving this Dakar vehicle next year, the Ford Dakar Raptor. It's not really much like a Raptor, if you think about the F-150 version, but it sounds surprisingly nice. These things are pretty darn rapid despite their size. Now, if we can go to the more traditional, what people think of when they see of rallying, these vehicles are what you think of, okay? I know we're looking at sort of the miscellaneous rally cars like the Alpha and the Triumph, but you start to see things going from the international championship manufacturers from the pre-WRC era to the modern rally cars. That's really what I wanted to take a look at. And these things are amazing. Watching the lineage go from 1971 to 2024 is truly inspiring. You start out with this Alpine A110 Group 4 car from the International Championship of Manufacturers, all the way going up to, it's next year actually, from 1971 to 1974 with the Group 4 WRC variant of the Alpine. These A110s, the modern one isn't exactly big, but the original is just a tiny little thing in comparison. Now, the Fiat is a lot boxier than the Alpine, but this is a world champion in its own right. The Aliada 131 Abarth, super cool vehicle from 1977. On the stranger side, the Rover SD1 with its thumping great V8 up front rear-wheel drive. Not your first choice for rallying, but it's nice seeing some more unique rally vehicles, even in the sense of Goodwood being quite unique. And then you got your more traditional cars, sure, you got your Toyotas, you got your Renaults. I say traditional, a mid-engined rear-wheel drive hot hatch is not traditional, but it is a far more traditional rally car than a Ferrari. Yeah, the Ferrari 308s were here, both in Group 4 spec and later Group B spec. I didn't get to see them run down the stage, unfortunately, but the fact that Ferrari went rallying even as a privateer is so frickin' cool, much less in the legendary Group B class. Wow. And seeing them in person is incredible. But then again, I did meet my heroes, and the Lancia 037 is definitely my hero. It's my personal favorite rally car ever built. There's maybe cars that look better, there may be cars that sound better, maybe cars that are faster and more successful, but nothing is just as perfect as this. It's got the history, it's got the sound, it's got the speed, it's got the legacy, it's just perfect. What else can I say? And I did get to see it run, if only once. I got to see this run only one or two times. The Lancia Delta S4, the twin-charged, turbocharged, and supercharged, sub-2,000-pound brute of a rally car. It's a bit wild. If you thought the Renault was insane for a hatchback, this is even more so. It can make 1,000 horsepower in 1985 from a 1.8-liter four-cylinder. No wonder it got Group B banned. Wow, what a machine. Absolutely mental. And yet it did get beaten. It did get beaten despite its best efforts. There were Group B cars that were faster, not the Porsche. The Porsche, it never really, again, like the Ferrari, didn't really have factory support, so it never really stood a chance, and it was rear-wheel drive. Nor were these cars, we'll get to the true champ in a second, but the RS200 Evo is fast, had potential, but it was just developed too late to actually really have a chance at taking on the big dogs. Same thing with the Metro 6R4, in fact. This thing won a lot of national rally championships and rallycross championships for over a decade. But since it came out basically in 1986, they just didn't have the time to make it work. The naturally aspirated engine needed turbochargers, and Group B was banned by the time it was supposed to be released. But they released better than this. The Citroen BX4 TC, an abysmal rally car we covered on Reverse Gear a while ago, slow, unreliable, and just awful in every measurable way. If you want a French rally car, you gotta go to Peugeot, because the 205 T16 Evo 2 is the perfect Group B rally car. Mid-engined, four-wheel drive, sub-2,000 pound curb weight, great aero, somewhat reliable and somewhat-ish safe. At least it kept Ari Vatanen alive in his near-fatal accident. And it had 550 horsepower to boot. It was objectively a brilliant car. And yet, it's not my favorite Peugeot Group B car, because as wonderful and as successful as this is, the fact that they made a 504 pickup truck rally car for Group B for the Safari Rally, because this is the only thing they had on deck at the time, is so frickin' weird and cool. I absolutely adore it. And I got to see it run once too. It's not very quick at all, because it's a pickup truck that doesn't have a 205 T16 engine in it, but it is still such a novelty. You cannot fathom how much I love this thing. But let's move on to Audi. Now, when I say Audi, you're probably wondering which Audi, which version of the Quattro. And, well, quite frankly, it would be better and easier to list what versions of the Quattro there weren't in attendance, because if you look at this group shot, oh my god, there were so many Quattros at this event, on the hill climb and on the rally stage. It's difficult to fathom. I'm pretty sure there was a non-insignificantly high percentage of the Quattros ever built for rallying in this one event. We have some of the Group 4 A1 Quattros, we have some of the Group B A2 Evolution Quattros. Pretty much, if you name it, it was there. They even had not one but two of the legendary S1E2 snowplow-wearing sport Quattros with 600 horsepower on tap, and yet, it was not the craziest Quattro, because the S1E2 Pikes Peak had an even madder aero kit because it needed for the thinner altitudes, and it had 750 horsepower, because 600 wasn't enough. Audi, you absolute mad lads. But you know what? It resulted in a win against Peugeot in 1987 at the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, setting another record in the process, one of their many consecutive Pikes Peak records. So, it may look a bit ridiculous, but it worked very well. Nor was it the only non-Group B Quattro in attendance, because some privateer Frenchman took this sport Quattro and ran it in the Dakar Rally. It wasn't factory-backed at all, which is why it looks kind of funky. It doesn't have any Audi logos on it apart from the hood. But it's nice to see cars that you wouldn't expect to see. I had no idea it was going to be here. They even brought their 200 Quattro from Group A in 1987. It was an abysmal failure that led to them leaving the WRC full stop. But the fact it was here at all is kind of awesome that they finished the roundup. Now, there were many other Group A cars, from the Sierra RS500 to the Escort RS Cosworth, because they needed to replace the Sierra since rear-wheel drive was by far obsolete by 1987. And this is a rally spec of the Kiase, which is always nice to see. A functional whale tail on this one, not just for show like on the road car we saw last time. Lancia continued their dominance of the 80s and 70s into the 90s with the Lancia Delta Integrale, this one from 1990, the Kankanen's championship winning car. Always good to see a champion, much less from my favorite manufacturer. Speaking of champions, Toyota picked up where Lancia left off and absolutely dominated until they were caught cheating. Oops, don't do that. But that opened the door for Subaru. Now this is Colin McRae's first WRC Subaru. This is his legacy RS from the famous rally where he flipped it like 15 million times in the trees. It's in a lot better shape than when he left that fateful forest. But it's always good to see that. Now, this is actually his teammate's car, Carlos Sainz. McRae beat Sainz to the championship in the last round of the 1995 season. So it's not the championship winner by the great McRae, but it is still a Carlos Sainz 555 Subaru Impreza, which is always nice to see. Now, you can't have Subaru without Mitsubishi, and they had two of the Evo 6 this year. The 1996 one driven by Richard Burns in the 1996 season, and Makinen's championship-winning 1999 Mitsubishi Evo. Now, it's not the 1998 one. It's very difficult to tell with these on the little banner. It's the 1999, so this is his last and fourth consecutive championship-winning car. But we are going to go back to Subaru because we're going by year, not by manufacturer explicitly, and they definitely had more success than Mitsubishi. Makinen was a better driver, no doubt, but Subaru had a better driver lineup, so these cars actually won more than Mitsubishi. Although McRae did get one last hurrah, nearly winning the title with this Focus RS before binning it like a bit of a moron, I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, McRae fans, it's just true. And again, it's in much better shape than when he left it, we'll put it that way, they fixed it up. Now, it's not the only, we were going to the WRC now, with the Skoda Octavia Evo 3, a funky little rally car. Always nice to see again something different, something new, even though it was a complete abysmal failure. And then we have the Rally1 cars. They're not doing too well in terms of a championship, but they're very high-tech and they have over 500 horsepower, which is always nice to see. Now, these last two cars, I didn't really know how to classify them. This is the Project Midnight. It was custom built for the hill climb, but it's based off a Rallycross Subaru. 670 horsepower, mental purpose-built machine. It's not really a rally car, not really a race car in the hill climb sense. Same thing with this is the Gymkhana car, so it's got huge suspension travel, 800 horsepower, active aero, the whole shebang. Didn't know how to classify it, but I do know that he probably should have driven it a little more gently. We'll put it that way. At least some would argue that.
Going at about half race speed at the moment.
Nice to set it here then. It's almost futuristic, it's so beautiful. But yeah, if we get a little bit of a look in on this course, I bet nobody's had.
Later on after B.
There's got to be some control that drivers have with the this period. This is Hyundai, the i20 Coupe Daniel Ford, another very, very top running drive.
Hyundai i20.
Just left to right over the star there, just into that first little. It's amazing to watch the cars off.
Exactly where the grip is and what they've got to keep away from. Rather exciting. It's the original car, marketed
please sing and dance along.
Oh, Rick, you should get on this one.
Oh!
Sorry to get him on mob.
So yeah, he binned it and threw it into the hay bales, and many will argue, well, he should have driven more carefully and not pushed as hard. But I would argue, isn't that kind of the whole point of Goodwood? Is to push these vehicles, to have fun with them, to get them right on the edge, like the Bugatti Type 35 from earlier, or the Project Midnight, nearly dropping it at every corner? That's half the fun. If you want to see these cars on static display, go to their heritage centers, go to concourse. This is where you can actually have fun with these things, and see them and hear them in all their glory as if they were driven back in the day, as hard as they were back in the day. That is the purpose of Goodwood. So if you don't want to see him pushed hard, then you're in the wrong spot. And this has been such a wonderful opportunity. It really is just... It's the greatest automotive event in the world. There's no way of putting it. It just is. If you want to see amazing road cars, you can just tour the parking lots, and that's better than most cars and coffees that you'll see. But then they have the supercars, the Formula 1 cars, the rally cars, the endurance heroes, and they're all some of the most valuable, legendary cars you'll ever see. Part of me wants to do a deep dive later on to see how much money is in this event. I would guess, just on top of my head, around $2 billion worth of cars, surely. That is the caliber and the quality that we're talking about here. And I got to see my personal favorite Lancia go down a rally stage. That is a bucket list item checked and done. So thank you, Goodwood, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.